Now, girls in primary school will now receive free sanitary towels that will keep them in school when they menstruate. The program, a partnership between African cotton industries and the Kenya government, was launched by Prime Minister Raila Odinga and is expected to benefit over 400,000 girls across the country who cannot afford the commodity. Now, of course, we shall be having a story on that, just to give NTV's Mashima Kapombe will giving us those numbers and what they mean to girls across the country who cannot access sanitary towels, and this ends up affecting their access to education. Now, to tell us more about this noble cause and how it's to be achieved is Khalil Anjarwalla, Director, African Cotton Industries. Welcome to NTV, sir.
Thank you, Ben.
Now, what made you get involved in this great cause?
So African Cotton has been manufacturing sanitary towels in Kenya for over 30 years. We started in the late 70s when a lot of our cotton wool was being used in rural parts of Kenya as a cheap and crude form of sanitary protection substitution.
Yes.
And we found that there was a need for a quality product at an affordable price. So we came in the 70s, and since then we've been manufacturing sanitary towels in the country. Most recently, we found that although the government is doing a very good job in trying to get access to primary school education free of charge, girls especially are missing a lot of school, up to 4 days in a month, because of their monthly cycle and the fact that they can't afford sanitary protection. And we've been approached by a number of non-governmental organizations, charitable companies, to donate sanitary towels to some of these very impoverished schools. So we were very lucky that the government took this initiative personally and decided to allocate 300 million in this financial year to try and kind of do a pilot scheme and see if we can try and get girls to access school and by giving them free sanitary towels. So as part of Vision 2030, we as local manufacturers and the government decided to partner. And we took on this project this year.
You say it's a pilot project, so there are plans for a bigger project.
Well, I think the government has identified that the number of girls in primary and secondary schools who are potentially missing school, the number is 2.7 million. And the current pilot scheme tackles 400,000 girls. So the scope is very large. And we're just tackling a drop in the ocean. So we're hoping that the government will extend this program and start to grow it. And I think we're looking for partnerships with the private sector as well to try and cover this gap that's existing.
So in your pilot program, what do you start with? Or what indexes do you use? What figures do you use? Which parts do you target? Some parts of the country?
Yes. So African Cotton has been responsible for tackling 3 provinces, Nairobi, Coast Province, and the Rift Valley as a start. And the Ministry of Education, through their various number of statistics, as well as other national bodies, have come up with a poverty index to identify certain target schools where the problem is more apparent. And so we've gone to places such as Turkana, Pokot, parts of the coast where really it's really a dire need, and that's the way in which we've kind of targeted the 400,000 girls in this pilot scheme, which we'll be tackling.
No, 6 weeks interruption of school is quite a big margin. What are the numbers? How does this problem affect girls' education in Kenya?
Yeah.
Really?
Well, you see, the missing 6 weeks in a year tends to obviously affect them directly in terms of their education and their ability to perform equally versus, say, the boys. Yeah. That's more of the direct impact to the girl. The more indirect impact that it has is it causes issues such as early child labor. It's been linked to HIV, infant mortality rates, and they say that a girl who goes to school for an extra year brings in an extra 10% in terms of their eventual wages further down the line. So this is a long-term project for the government, and one that will see growth in terms of development and in terms of the girl child going forward. So I think the whole sustainability aspect of this project is also very interesting.
And it is the first in Africa?
Yes, the very first project in Africa. And we're very proud that the Kenyan government is taking this initiative and set an example for other countries to follow, because it is a very, very big need and a very big developmental issue.
Well, the program started in May.
Yeah.
How do you intend, basically to carry it out? How will it work?
So actually, Ben, we've delivered to 99% of what we're supposed to deliver to. We at African Cotton have been distributing pads but other FMCG products for over 50 years. So we know the country, we have the infrastructure available to roll out this project down to the district education office level. So we were tasked with the ministry to do two things. One is deliver down to the district education officers level, and two is train the girls, because there's no point delivering the pads without training, and also with panties, because a lot of these girls can't afford panties, and it's pointless giving this product when you can't attach it to a panty. So we started with Nairobi. We delivered in Nairobi in middle of May, and then we went to the coast, which we did towards the end of May, and up until last week we've been delivering to the Rift Valley. So I myself was giving out pads to the Laikipia North, for instance. I was in Dol district, providing pads to the girls and to the teachers, and watching the Girl Child Network, who we partnered with, do the training down at the ground level.
And how has it been received on the ground, like teachers, parents?
I think everyone's identified that this is a big problem, and everyone knows it. And I think there's going to be some execution issues, things like how to make sure that the pads that we're giving the girls is actually being used by the girls, and, for instance, not being shared or sold, etc. So the ministry are working quite closely with the teachers and the headmistresses and masters of the schools to ensure that the direct link between the pads and the girls is established, and that they can monitor attendance figures throughout the year to make sure that this project actually does make a difference.
There are some organizations which have ventured into such ideas, and they give certain kind of pads, like reusable ones. I don't know what yours are just the normal pads?
Yeah, so ours are the kind of international standard sanitary pads with wings. Yes. The reusable ones actually are still being debated as to whether they actually make a difference, because there are a couple of things which the girls require. For instance, the ability to wash them, ability to have soaps and detergents enough to keep them recycled. Also, in terms of mass production, reusable sanitary pads tend to be much more difficult to make in a manufacturing sense. So we've made close to 20 million individual pads in the space of 2 months. And we found that the technology at the moment for the reusable side is not available as yet to manufacture in that quantity. So you find a lot of smaller organizations, homemade solutions that are happening in their small way, which are making a tremendous difference. But the government wanted something that's much more of a mass scale, and that's where we came in as manufacturers of this product and managed to manufacture and deliver within a very short space of time.
We should talk about those numbers now. These, of course, obviously a very key issue in terms of education, especially to the girl child. It has been a problem to those girls in those parts of the country, girls who cannot have access to sanitary towels. And TV's Mashima Kapombe took a look at this problem.
Yeah.
Good news finally for the girl child whose education is interrupted at least for 6 weeks in a year once puberty sets in. The long-awaited launch of the sanitary distribution program by the government to primary schools in about 82 districts in the country is now on, several months after funds for the same were voted into the budget.
I look forward to the time when access to sanitary towels will be given the same status as the provision of instructional materials.
According to the Ministry of Education, approximately 500,000 girls miss 4 days of school every month owing to monthly periods.
In pockets of poverty and urban slums, a big proportion of that percentage is girls. Studies, Right Honorable Prime Minister, have shown that one of the reasons why our girls miss classes or drop out altogether is because of maturation or the onset of puberty.
There have been several initiatives to keep girls in schools through provision of cheap sanitary towels, but all girls in need have been reached. The program that aims at ensuring the girl child remains in school irrespective of the time of the month has cost the government 240 million shillings. However, public-private partnerships have been encouraged to ensure that 2.6 billion more is raised to kick out the problem completely. Mashirima Kapombe, NTV, Nairobi.
NTV's Mashirima Kapombe there. Now, you talked about the sustainability of this project.
Yes.
How sustainable is it?
Well, I think obviously it should not be a one-off. The girls need it year on year, month on month. And we need the support of the government, as well as NGOs, charitable organizations, and the private sector to come in and commit funds, because the project scope is 2.7 billion. That's the estimate that the government has put down to reach all the girls that require this product. So we're hoping that within the next budget reallocation, there'll be a provision, and we're, I guess, taking it one step at a time and growing the project slowly by slowly. And we're hoping that that within the next year or 2 years, we'll be reaching more and more girls for their next academic years.
Now, you have been to the ground, like, per girl, when you're distributing those sanitary towels.
Yes.
Like the pilot project, how many do you give, and for how long can they last them?
Yeah. So we estimate that a girl needs approximately 5 pads during her monthly cycle. The average woman uses about 8. We are giving 8 pads, which is 1 packet per month per girl. And so each girl receives a bale of 9 packets, which will allow them to go to school for the 9 terms, for the 9 months within the year. And included in that pack is also an information leaflet, which we've done at our own cost, which gives information about how to use the product, how to dispose it correctly, and also information on just menstruation and puberty, because a lot of girls culturally don't speak about this within the home, and even within the schooling environment. So we're just trying to make sure that they have the necessary training and the necessary education to use this product properly and effectively.
You talk about the girls not talking about it. Now, in their homes, those
Yes.
the really hard hit areas.
Yes.
How effective are the parents, in trying to help the girls in this?
Well, I think we hope the parents will be very effective, but I think the major difference that we're going to make is through the Girl-Child Network. So the Girl-Child Network is an organization that has been at the forefront of the girl-child issues within Kenya over the last several years. They have been distributing sanitary pads to over 10,000 girls prior to the government taking on this initiative. And we've been partnering with them, sponsoring nurses, etc., for a number of years now. And this was a perfect opportunity for a partnership within African Cotton and the Girl-Child Network to deliver this project. And so they have qualified, trained technical nurses going to the schools, giving effective training to teachers as well as girls directly. And I think this will be sufficient. So even if the parents are unaware of how this product is used and lack the information, then we have the supportive infrastructure ready to make sure that the girls get the necessary education.
Now, of course, this is it's going to cost a lot of money for it to be, achieved in the long term, and it's a good thing that government is coming in, chipping something. Do you think, are there, opportunities for other sponsors, other, partners to come in with something?
Yes, I mean, we've already been approached by several organizations. Example, the LVCT, who have come and asked and pledged support for these projects. And a lot of people are doing this in a very small way. And I think what this project has allowed us to do is to kind of bring this in the forefront and coordinate and make sure that everyone is doing it through one common cause. And that's what we found happening over the last few months. And I think with the coordination and the help of the Ministry of Education, we can really rally the support from all these organizations and try and direct it in a way that reaches all the girls in Kenya. And remember that this project, at the end of the day, will yield returns for the government. So it's not only a developmental issue, but it's also a question of if girls get educated, and when they get educated to a better level, they go out into the economy and generate tax revenues for the government. So this is a sustainable project in itself. In terms of 5, 10 years down the line, these girls are strong contributors to the economy.
And do you think, this is the 21st century, do you think we can have a more long-term solution? What's the long-term solution to this problem?
Well, I think we're constantly looking out for, as you mentioned, sanitary pads that are reusable, for instance, and for other new product innovations. But I think for the moment, the government have got it right. The girls need pads. The pads that we're giving them are actually very affordable, but also provide the comfort and security that the girls need to attend school and to perform and carry out their day-to-day activities that they would otherwise not be able to do. So we're very thankful and grateful to the Ministry of Education and to the Government of Kenya, especially His Right Honourable Raila Odinga, to really take this project and set an example for Africa and the rest of the world.
Will you have a time when every girl in Kenya will be able to have access, affordable access to sanitary towels?
For sure, that's the vision, and we're a quarter of the way there. So let's keep pushing, and then hopefully within the next few years we'll really see the number of girls going to school increase substantially.
And this project that's going on, if there are viewers watching at home, yes, if there are people who may be willing to help, yes, how can they help? Can they donate? Can they? Yes. How can they help? So
they can contact African Cotton. Our website's www.africancotton.com. And we have a team that's ready to take on support from individuals as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Khalil.
Thank you, Ben.
Khalil Anjarwalla from African Cotton Industries. Very noble, because they're trying to reach out the girls who cannot afford sanitary towels to make sure they have access to education. You're watching NTV this morning. Stay with us. Much more.